Fine, so let us start with test ng. Right. First of all, let me tell you the relevance of test ng. Till now we have studied WebDriver and reading data from Excel files and all everything. Okay, now let us talk about test ng, that what test ng is. Fine, look, when you are building up test cases, right, in Selenium, okay, you have got test case 1, you have got test case 2, test case 3, right, and so on so forth. Okay, right. Now you have to do lot of things, right? You have to execute these test cases in a particular order, one after another. You have to generate reports, proper reports. You have to read the data from Excel file and all. Okay, then you have to take the screenshots of the errors, and you have to do the loggings and all everything, right? So to do all these things, we have a centralized framework, okay, like test ng is there. I have told you this before as well. So what test ng will do is that it will read the data from the Excel file, correspondingly run the test case. Okay, it will generate the reports as well. It will do the screenshot, logging, provisioning and all everything. Okay, right. So now moving ahead, okay, the first thing is that, right, how to install testng, right? The first testng is installed as a plugin inside Eclipse, right? You have to go to help, install new software, okay, and then go to Google and type testng Eclipse. Fine, and you will get the first link. Go over here and you will have install the plugin link over here. You click on this, right? Then over here, if you scroll down, fine, you will have enter the site URL of this link. This is the link. Okay, right, you copy this link. Somebody asking something? No, right, you copy this link and paste it in Eclipse and hit the enter button. When you hit the enter button, okay, right, after pasting it over here, you will get testng and you can click on next, and you can install testng. Your Eclipse will also restart. Fine, once your Eclipse has restarted, you go to window, show view, and go to other, and under Java you will have testng present. So this will confirm, right, this will confirm whether testng is installed in Eclipse or not. So if it's installed, right, then you'll get this icon. So now let's make a new Java project known as day 13 testng. Fine, and understand the features of testng. That what does it help you? How does it help you? This is the source folder. Under the source folder, I'll create a new package. Package is like a folder inside a folder, okay, and I'll call this package as test cases. Okay, inside the test cases package, right, what we'll do is that we'll create a new class, right, known as, say, application test.java. Sorry, right, and inside it I can keep test cases, right? For example, public void test login. So in a test ng you don't have any main function. Okay, like in generic Java file we have a main function, right? In test ng we don't have any main function. We have got annotations like @test. Okay, and you can add, you move the mouse over this error, you'll get the option to add the test ng library. Don't add the J unit, add the test ng one. Right, you will see this test ng library added. Inside it you will have testng.jar. Fine, then move the mouse over this and import the test annotation. This will be imported from org.testng. Okay, make sure this import is from org.testng. Now you can print inside it login test. So this function becomes like a test case. Okay, you can right click on the file, so you'll get the option run as testng test. Okay, you can click on it and it will run. Right, you can also run it from the top run button. Right, you will get the message over here, total test runs are 1, failures are 0, skips are 0. Okay, if you go to this tab over here, you will see a graphical report of this login test. It is green in color, that means it's passing. Fine. Moreover, okay, if you refresh this project, you will get a test output folder. Okay, if you expand this folder, you will have index.html, fine, which has the HTML reports from the execution. These are generated automatically. You can open it. These reports, they look like this. Okay, not a very impressive report. Okay, we are going to generate extent reports in some time, which you will come to know how impressive they are. Extent reports, they look something like this. That is, you have got various tabs, various test cases over here, and every test case has the description of what happened when it is executing. Right, if a test case is failing, you will also get the screenshot in the reports. Okay, so we will see that. Okay, so now over here you have got this test login function. Right, now similarly you can make other functions as well. Yes, there is no main function in test ng. Okay, you just have annotations. You can also have annotation known as @test change password test. Okay, over here you can write change password. So when you run this, it will execute two test cases, change password and do login. Okay, right, and similarly you can have another test case, say logout test, something like this. Okay, so inside it you can write logging out. So you can have multiple test cases in a single Java file as well, or you can have different Java files with the test cases. Right, so when you run this, you will have the output printed, change password, logging out, login test. Now the thing is, it is not printed in the order in which the test cases are in the Java file. The first test case is the login test, the second test case is the change password test, and the third one is the logout. But the execution order over here is not same. Okay, don't think that the test cases will be executed in the order from top to bottom in the file. No, they will not execute like this. You will have to set the priority in test ng that this test case in this file has got the priority 1. Fine. Then the anything can have anything. It is not mandatory to have the test name in the function or the class name. It is not mandatory. Okay, you can keep any name. Fine. So you can set the priorities over here, that the priorities of these test cases are 1, 2 and 3. So now they will be executed from top to bottom as per the priority, and when you run them, you see that first login test, then change password, and then logging out is printed. Okay, fine. So this is what TestNG does primarily. You can make test cases, right? You can write the WebDriver code inside them, and you can do the validations as well. Okay, now for validations you have got assertions in TestNG. Alright, fine. Suppose I'll make a new class known as a registration test. Okay, and I will keep a test annotation, public void do register. Fine. Out here, suppose I want to do some validation. Now how do you do the validation? You have some expected data and the actual data which has to be matched. Okay, the expected data comes from maybe the properties file or an Excel file. Okay, the actual data will come up from the application. For example, the title of the page, driver.getTitle. So if actual and expected data they don't match, you have to fail the test case. Okay, for that we use assertions. Okay, you write over here assert equals. Fine. Make sure you import the assert class from org.testng.assert. Sometimes people import it from JUnit, so that becomes a problem. Okay, right. And in assertion you have to give the actual and the expected value. The actual value first and expected value after that. So if I run this test will pass. Total test runs failures are 0 because expected and actual both are matching. In the results also it is passing. But if I write A1 over here and if I run this program, this will fail. Failure is 1, and if you look at the results over here, you will get a red mark and assertion error, expected A but was found A1, right? So you will get an exception. You will get the test case marked as a failure. So if the assertion is failing, right, then the test case fails. So you use assert equals, and there is one more assertion which you generally use, and that is assert true. Assert true means that you have to specify some condition and some error message. If this condition evaluates to false, then this error message will be thrown, right? For example, I write over here 3 greater than 1. 3 greater than 1, the result of executing this is true. So this assertion will pass. If I run this line, this test case will pass. But if I write 3 greater than 11, which will evaluate to false, then this assertion will fail and this error message will come up in the reports as well. So when you run it, you will see that it will fail and you get the error message as well in the reports. It's written over here, error message. Okay, fine. Now where do we use this kind of assertion? Suppose you want to check whether the element is present on the page or not. Okay, remember we had made a function known as is element present. You call that function, pass over the XPath of that element over here. So if this function returns you false, you can throw the error message that element not found. Okay, right. So we will do this. We'll all do all of this in the framework. I'm just giving you an example over here that basically there are two types of assertions which are primarily used: assert equals and assert true. Okay, right. And assert is a class in which all the assertion functions are there. All the assertion functions are static, so you can call directly with the name of the class. Okay, right. Now moving ahead. I will go back to application test.java, which I had created with 3 test annotations. Right. Now there are few more annotations which are important in TestNG. For example, there is an annotation known as @ before test. Okay, right. I will just print before test, and there is an annotation known as after test. Okay, so you can make a function after test. Okay, yes, if it evaluates to false, right, if this condition evaluates to false, then you will get the error message. Okay, now this is after test annotation and before test. Right, when you run this, you will see that after test annotation or before test is executed in the very beginning and after test is executed in the very end. Okay, so these annotations are executed before and after executing all the tests in a Java file. Right, suppose you want to open a browser, you can open the browser here, execute all the 3 tests on the browser, and probably in the after test you can close the browser. Or if you want to connect to database, in the before test you can connect to database. In the test cases you can use that. In after test you can close the connection to the database. So various pre and post test activities before executing all the test cases, if you want to do, you can do with these 2 annotations. Right. Okay, you also have an annotation like @ before method. Okay, like public void before. This is a different annotation. I'll write over here before method. And similarly you have the placement of these annotations, it doesn't matter, you can place them anywhere in the file. Okay, after method is there. Okay, so basically you have got before test, after test, and before method and after method. Now how do they vary? When you run it, look, before method and after method will execute before and after executing each and every test. Okay, before executing or after executing each and every test, before method and after method will get executed. Before test and after test, they are executed in the very beginning and in the very end. Generally we use these annotations only. Okay, there are many other annotations in TestNG. Okay, you can right click on the test cases folder, you can go to new, you can go to other, and you will get TestNG. Okay, and select TestNG class, select next. You will get all these annotations. Not all of them are used so frequently. Okay, right. Before test, after test, before method, after method, and at the rate test. These are the most commonly used. And we use another annotation known as data provider. This annotation data provider is used to parameterize the test case. That means execute the test with more than one sets of data. For example, this is a registration test to register. So suppose I want to run this test case multiple times with different sets of data. Okay, so how do I do that? Fine. For that I will have to use an annotation known as data provider. Okay, you write like this: public object get data. So this object array is returned by this data provider. This is a two-dimensional object array. What we do is that, okay, we make a two-dimensional object array with certain rows and some columns. Okay, number of columns in this two-dimensional object array, number of columns in this two-dimensional object array are equal to number of parameters in this test case. Okay, if you have got 4 parameters in this test case, then you will have 4 columns like username, password, email ID, phone number. Okay, and number of rows are equal to number of times you want to run the test. Okay, I hope you know what a two-dimensional object array is. It's got indexing, like for example this is 0, 0, right, this is 0, 1, right, this will be 2, 1, fine, second third row index 2 in comma 1, right. I hope you know about this two-dimensional object array, two-dimensional array basically, that every cell has a address. Okay, this is first 1, 0, okay, first row's 0th column. Okay, fine. So you place the data like this. In the first row you will keep the data of the first iteration. In the second row you will keep the data for the second iteration. For example, I will make this two-dimensional array with 3 rows and 2 columns, or say 4 columns. That means I want to run the test case 3 times, and every time I run there will be 4 parameters in the test. So I will fill up this array, row 1, okay, I will write data 0, 0 equals to, say, username u1, then some email ID, right, this is the second data, then some phone number, right, and the fourth parameter can be some city. Okay, so I am using a two-dimensional object array over here. This is the first row. Alright, 3 rows can be present inside this two-dimensional object array. So I will put the row number second as well. Username u2, some different phone number, okay, and city 2. Similarly, row 3 as well. u3, right, some different phone number and city. So you have got this two-dimensional object array, okay, in which you put up the data like this and you write over here return data. Okay, now this is the first thing, right, and no, this is the first row, right? Okay, in first row you have got the 0th index in the row number 0 means the first row, okay, right. City 1 should be, oh yes, I'm sorry, this should be 3, yes, okay. So we have put the data over here properly. Now you need to link this test case with this data provider. You link it like this, that you mention over here that the data provider is get data. So this get data function is your data provider. You are telling the test case that the get data function is your data provider. And the last thing is that number of input parameters in the function should be same as number of columns. We have 4 columns, so you should have 4 input parameters. The first one would be the name, the second one would be the email, the third one would be the phone, and the fourth one is the city. So you have got 4 input parameters inside this function: name, email, phone, city, okay, and that's it. When you will run this program, right, it will automatically run it 3 times with different sets of data. So TestNG automatically reads that the data provider of this function is get data. It goes in the get data, it finds out that fine, there are 3 rows, okay, and every time it calls this test with first time it calls this test with this data, then it calls it with this, and then it calls with this. But make sure that number of input parameters which you have, name, email, phone, city and all, are same as the number of columns. Okay, if you have 4 columns, if I omit any one of them, suppose I omit city, and if I run it, I will get an exception that data provider is trying to pass 4 parameters, but the method takes 3. Okay, so you have to make sure you have got 4 parameters, and the order will remain the same. The first parameter would be the username, second will be email, phone number and the city. Okay, right. So basically I have told you 2 things. Firstly, in TestNG you have got annotations and different types of annotations. Okay, the test annotation is something which represents a test case, right? And the second thing which I have told you is that you have got another annotation known as data provider, with which you can pass over the data inside the test case. Okay, fine. Now you can run one Java file at a time if you want. Fine. What if you want to run both these Java files together? You have to do a batch running. Fine. That is also possible. For that you will have to use hold on, you'll have to use this testng.xml file. Okay, I'll copy this file and paste it under the project. Okay, I have pasted testng.xml over here, right, and the first line is the name of the suite over here, and then you can mention the test cases which you are having, right. For example, the first test case was application test, and it was inside the package test cases dot application test. Make sure you give the correct fully qualified name over here starting from the package. Okay, right. Then the second test case was the register test. Over here you can give any name, it doesn't matter, but over here you have to give the correct name of the file with the package, right. So this XML file holds the information that what all test cases you have in your project or in your particular test suite. Fine, you can right click on this XML and select the option run as testng suite. So all these tests in this will be executed from top to bottom in a serial order, and if you look at the results, you see that first application test runs all the 3 tests they run, and then the register test runs 3 times in a parameterized way. Right, you can right click on this XML file and simply select run as testng suite. Okay, so if anybody is having any questions, please let me know. This is primarily what testng does. Okay, fine. You can also generate reports, very good and effective reports, the way I have shown the extent reports. Okay, in extent reports you have got every test case individually mentioned. This login test I am running 2 times, and every test has got the logs. This is the best part, that I am opening the browser, I am going to the home page, logging in the site, logged in successfully, going to profile page, friends page, and then you get some error on Facebook and you get this error message with the screenshot as well. Okay, right. So hold on, I'll answer your question. Right, you also have the graphical view, fine, in this reports, with which you can actually judge in a more better manner. Fine. So there's a question being asked, what is the difference between Maven and testng? You know, Maven is different. Okay, I had asked you to watch the Maven video. Just watch that Maven video. Okay, Maven is something which will help you to run the test cases or to maintain the versions of the jar files in a team. Just watch the Maven video I had asked you. Okay, and what is the difference between JUnit and testng? Look, both are testing frameworks. Okay, right. Whatever testng is doing, somewhat in the similar way, JUnit also does the same thing. You have got test annotations in JUnit as well, but I find TestNG to be better. There is better reporting. Okay, running the test cases parallelly is also facilitated very easily by TestNG. Okay, and TestNG has got more famous in the market with Selenium rather than JUnit. Okay, TestNG is more famous. Fine, you can generate very good reports the way I showed you right now, the extent reports and all with TestNG. Okay, moreover you can also generate XSLT reports. Fine, XSLT reports, they look something like this. But I find extent reports to be better. Fine, we will see how to generate these reports. Okay, these are XSLT reports. You can generate it with TestNG. Hold on. Yeah, they look something like this. You have got a pie chart diagram and all describing everything. Okay, right. So this is the thing, right? It helps you to build the test cases in a very organized manner, right? So these are the important features of TestNG which I had to teach you. How to generate those reports and all I will also teach you when I start with the frameworks. Okay, now there is an important thing. Okay, I want to talk about parallel execution in TestNG. I'll make a new project known as parallel underscore TestNG, and in this project I will make a new package known as test cases, and inside this test cases package I'll make a new class known as test A, then test B, and then test C. Okay, in test A I will make the test annotation public void test A. Fine, add the TestNG library, import the test annotation. In test B I will put test B, and in test C I'll write test C. Inside this function I will write starting test C, then I will put a little bit of delay, say 4 seconds, and ending test C. I am going to write the same piece of code, right, in test B, starting B, ending B, in between there is a delay of 4 seconds, right, and similarly in test A as well. Okay, I will put the testng.xml file for batch running inside this particular project, copy and paste it. Okay, so and I will mention that this is my test A, test cases dot test A. Similarly test B, test cases dot test B, and test C, test cases dot test C. Fine, so I mentioned the 3 test cases and I built every test which prints starting the test, delay of some seconds, and ending. When I run this by testng.xml, run as testng suite, all the tests will execute serially. It will print starting A, ending A, then starting B, ending B, and starting C and ending C. Fine. It will start the test case, end the test case, start it and end it. So all the tests are executed serially. Every test case takes 4 seconds to execute. If in case I write over here parallel equals to true, then tests, all the test cases will be invoked parallelly by testng. If I run it now, you will see that starting ACB, after 4 seconds they will end. So all the 3 tests are invoked parallelly by testng. Okay, right, and they will end after 4 seconds. So if you want to execute the tests in parallel, you can use testng. Testng will execute the test cases parallelly. But then why is grid used? Okay, we know that Selenium grid is also for parallel execution. Look, if you want to execute the tests parallelly on a single machine, you can use testng. But if you want to have a network where you have a central machine and different other types of machines like a MacBook and a Windows operating system and a Linux and a Unix operating system, so you have to execute the tests parallelly on all the systems, then you will have to use the grid setup. Okay, right, on a single machine you can do it with testng only, but if you want to use multiple machines, you have to have the grid setup. Okay, so this is about parallel testing. So all these concepts we are going to apply in the framework. Alright, fine.